जी जनाब, Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to discuss same format one, but count with decision along with percentages. So I told you that there are three categories in format one questions. As of yet, we have finished total with average. Now we are going to finish counting with decision with percentage. ठीक है जी ये हम करेंगे प्री रिलीज मटेरियल टुवर्ड्स द एंड ऑफ द क्लास जो लास्ट 2 और 3 डेज होंगे उसमें हम प्री रिलीज मटेरियल्स ही करेंगे all right so let's find questions which are now related to counting with decision now what is counting with decision first let's discuss that and then we will go for the questions. Basically, counting with decision is basically when we count, as we know that it is something like this. A is equal to A plus 1. This is counting. What if we say if there is a condition then we add, and if this condition is false then we don't add. So this is called counting with decision. All right, so it might be like if x is greater than d, then count is equal to count plus 1. It might be something like that. If gender is equal to male, then male is equal to male plus 1, else female is equal to female plus 1, and if. So what is happening that we are checking a condition. If that condition is true, then this part works. If it is false, then this part works. So this is true part and this is false part. And if we are just writing without condition, it is said to be the counting. So why do we count with decision? Let's say we have got an input for gender, whether it is male or female. And then we have got two counters, M and F. These all three are variables. Gender is, let's say, a character variable, and male and female are integer variables. So the decision would be if gender is equal to male, then m is equal to m plus 1, else f is equal to f plus 1. So let's say we have got gender male, female, male, male, female, 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 female. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inputs. Now we have to count that how many times. Let's say it's a loop of 8 for count is equal to 1 to 8. In every loop we are entering one value, and that is gender. So if gender is male, then m will become 1. If female, then f will become 1. If male again, then m is equal to m plus 1, 2. If male again, then m is equal to m plus 1, 3. If female, then this would become 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. So at the end of the day, you would have m3 and f5. Means there are 5 females and 3 males. This is said to be what? Count with decision. So when the decision is taken after something is calculated, and now we are checking that how much is that which is calculated, or after something is input, and now we are now we are actually comparing it, that if it is equal to this, then we will add to this, otherwise to that. Now why do we use it? Let's say I have got a class of 8 students, and I want to check that what is the percentage of male students and female students. So I would be like m divided by 8 multiplied by 100. So this would be male percentage. And then I would have female percentage. That would be female count divided by 8 multiplied by 100. What is the formula of percentage? Percentage is equal to count with decision divided by n, which is the total count, multiplied by 100. So what is basically percentage? Percentage is basically an indication that out of the total number, what is the percentage of a little count. So percentage is always of a little count out of a bigger count. All right. So that little count needs to be counted, bigger count will be given. Let's say they might say there are 365 days. Input reading every day and count that how many days the temperature were below 50. So what you would do, you'll run a loop of for count is equal to 1 to 365, and in every loop you will take one input, then that would be the temperature input, and then you will compare that temperature with 50, and you'll be like, if temperature is less than 50, then n is equal to n plus 1, and then next loop goes on and you enter the temperature, and then next loop goes on, and this is how loop will work. And every time the loop works, an input is made to the temperature that is analyzed against 50, and if it is less than 50, and only then n is being counted. So at the end of the day, once you get out of the loop, after 365 inputs, you would see that there is a count that you have for all the days out of 360s when the temperature was below 50. So this count with decision works in two ways. One, to count. How do you know that if that particular question is format 1's question which require you to count? You would see how many, the word how many, or explicitly they might ask count. So if there is a word how many, or they ask you to count, that means that you are counting with decision. Secondly, they might ask for the percentage of something. So percentage requires a little count out of a bigger count, so you would have to count with decision. Get the idea? That is how we come to know that this is format 1 question, but this does not belong to average, rather it belongs to either percentage or counting. So the way questions yesterday were asking for the average of something, today questions will ask either for the count of something, like how many are these, how many are that, or they might be asking for the percentage. Percentage is related to what? Count with decision. So let's see the format 1 once again. So if they ask for the percentage, we need count, little count, and that is little count C1, which is count with decision. All right, or they don't ask for percentage, but they ask for how many, and in that case we use count with decision only, and that count will be output towards the end. So when there is totaling and average, there is no counting with decision and output with decision, but when there is counting with decision, there will be no average and there will be no output with decision or totaling. So today we are going to see questions which belong to counting with decision. And remember one thing, counting with decision has the most variety. Many of the questions in counting with decision and percentage will require you to have a knowledge of few functions. We will discuss those functions alongside counting with decision and percentage. All right, let's start one by one. First of all, it is simple count and percentage question, and then we will discuss about the variety. So let's start. Now look at this particular question. This is May-June 2009. May-June 2009. Question 18. It says a small airport handles 400 flights. A small airport handles 400 flights. This 400 tells that this question belongs to what? Format 1. And then we go further to find out that which particular category of format 1 is being discussed. Let's see. There are 3 airlines, FA, SJ, and KA. Fastair, Swiftjet, and Nightyear. Each flight is identified by the airline code and 3 digits. So this FA, SJ, and KA are the airline code that we are going to take into consideration for the counting purposes. Write an algorithm using pseudocode or otherwise which monitors 400 flights in and out of the airport each day. So let's start. For count is equal to 1 to 400. Each flight is identified by the airline code and 3 digits like FA156. This 156 is useless because we have to identify the airline, so we will only use the code. Now, Write an algorithm using pseudocode or otherwise which monitors 400 flights into and out of the airport each day. Means this loop only would go for a single day, which is 400 times. The following inputs, processing and outputs. So as we discussed that input, process and output means a program, are all part of the monitoring process. Input flight identification. So we are inputting input flight ID. Calculate the number of flights, means what is the number of flights? A count. Calculate the number of flights per day for each of the 3 airlines, and then output the percentage of total flights per day each airline. And now we are going to see if flight ID is equal to FA, then F is equal to F plus 1. If flight ID is equal to SJ, then S is equal to S plus 1. If flight ID is equal to KA, then K is equal to K plus 1. If flight ID is equal to KA, then K is equal to K plus 1. So these are 3 counters. If flight ID would be FA, then it will add to F. And if it is SJ, then it will add to S. And if it is KA, then it will add to K. All right. Now, so it will go on for how many times? It will go on for 400 times, and every time when an input is made, it will ask for what? सर आप प्री रिलीज कराएंगे? यस सर, ये लेक्चर्स यूट्यूब पे किस नाम से हैं? ZAK on वेब पे तो नहीं है बेटा, ये बिल्कुल ZAK on वेब पे है, आप देखिएगा। सर FA is equal to FA plus 1 क्यों नहीं? बेटा this is up to you. You can make it FA is equal to FA plus 1, SJ is equal to SJ plus 1. It's up to you. Name of the variable is your choice. All right, counters, I believe, unlike other variables, counter should be a single letter so that we could handle them easily. But that is not, that's my belief. As far as your concern is there, FA is equal to FA plus 1, go for it. Doesn't make any difference. So then the loop ends. Next, once all 400 flights are identified, there are 3 totals, F, S and K. Now we have to find what? The percentage. So percentage of FA is equal to F divided by 400 multiplied by 100. Percentage of SA is equal to S divided by 400 multiplied by 100, and percentage of KA is equal to K divided by 400 and multiplied by 100, and then we will output what? They have asked for the percentages. Output percentage of FA, comma percentage of SA, then percentage of KA. So this is your question completed. Now you have to initialize. So count FID, F SK, PFA, PSA, PKA. So count is equal to 0. Now FID is not integer, so it can be 0. So it would be something like this, empty, double quotation without anything in between. So this is initialization for a character or a string. So a number is always initialized to 0, and if it is not number, if it is character or a string, then it is initialized to null. This is null. So this double quotation without anything in between is called null. So we initialize characters like gender is equal to null, like name, this is a string, so this is null. So once the value arrives, then value arrives, otherwise it is null. So initialization of anything which is a string or character is null. And then we have got what? F. So F is integer, so 0. S is integer, so 0. K is integer, so 0. PFA is basically decimal or real number, so this is 0. PSA is equal to 0 and PKA is equal to 0. So this is a complete question for 5 marks, and this belongs to what? Percentage. So let's revise format 1 once again. So if a question asks for counting or the percentage, then we will go count with decision. Count with decision is when we count in a variable but with a decision ahead of it. So if something is true, then count, otherwise it doesn't count. So this way we may have several counts. So in this particular case, for this particular question, if you do remember, what we had to do is to evaluate or compare the flight ID. So flight ID is KA, then we add to count. K is equal to K plus 1. If it is SJ, then we count in S is equal to S plus 1. And if it is FA, then F is equal to F plus 1. So if they ask for percentage, we will then use these counters. So if there are multiple countings, then C1, C2, C3, C4, and this percentage will be related to one particular count at a time. So if it is one count, then that count will be divided by n. So in this case, we had n 400, and then that count divided by 400 multiplied by 100 is the percentage, and then you output the percentage. That is how it happens. So let's see other questions. Okay, this particular question is format 1 again, but it is not asking for the percentage, only the count. It says a school has 1800 students. So this is for count is equal to 1 to 1800. All right, for count is equal to 1 to 1800. Now, Now it says the input student ID for all 1800 students. So input ID. The start date and leaving date, start date and leaving date for each student is stored on a file. Dates are in this format: year, month and date. For example, a student is starting on 10th September 2007 and leaving on the data 7, 9, 10 and 12, 8, 4 on 5. So we are going to input ID for all 1800 students and then input the start date. So start date and leaving date. So leaving date. So I used SD for start date, LD for done. Carries out a check to ensure the second date is later. Second date is leaving date. So it means they're asking us to measure that second date is greater than first date. All right. So check to ensure second date is later. Means अगर कोई पहली तारीख को आया है जनवरी की तो वो फरवरी की पहली को जा सकता है, वो दिसंबर की पहली को नहीं जा सकता, दिसंबर की पहली को अगले साल जा सकता है, आगे जा सकता है, पीछे नहीं जा सकता. So date will actually tell that which date is farther, which date is the previous one. If there is an error, now how we would know error? If the second or later date is not higher than the first date, rather it is the date which is bigger than the first date. Sorry. If the later date is smaller than the first date, then that is an error. So we have to count. If error, increment error counter. So it's like if later date is less than start date, if later date is or leaving date is less than start date, then this is an error. Then E is equal to E plus 1. You may make it like uh, if leaving date is less than start date, start date should be the date that is less, not leaving date. So if leaving date is input as an error, sometimes what you see when the um, input operator, when input operators are entering data, तो कभी कभी ये होता है कि they enter the data wrong. They might enter start date in leaving date and leaving date in start date. So computer will check if the leaving date has to be higher than the start date. But if it is entered other way around, then leaving date will become smaller than start date, and that is an error. So we have to count the error and then output the number of errors. So next, This is complete answer. So it says that output the number of errors. So we have actually collected number of errors in E. So we output E. So that is very simple question. All right. Now this question we solved earlier. Today we will look into the next question. This belongs to integer. Now what is integer? Integer is a function integer is a function. What it does, it shades off, truncates any decimal part in any of the variable. What does it mean? It means that if a is equal to 3.6, this 0.6 will be truncated. Let's say x is equal to integer of a. So what is x? X is just 3. Few of the students, they might get confused with round. Round is another function which rounds up or rounds down. Up if it is 0.5 and above, and down if it is below 0.5, but integer doesn't care about it. So if it is x is equal to integer of 5.999, still x will be 5. Even 0.999 doesn't make any difference. All right. Even this 0.999 doesn't make any difference. So how do we use this integer in this situation? We will use a trick which is somehow described in this question, but it is not as clear as we should discuss it. अच्छा मुझे ज़रा ये बताइए कि आप लोगों को मोहम्मद हामिद सिद्दीकी सर आपकी लाइव वीडियो स्टॉप हो गई है. So we were discussing integer. So we are using integer here as a trick. What is that trick? This trick is utilized to know if the number that is entered was integer or a real number. So if it is entered like x is equal to 3, it is an integer. And if it is entered like 3.2, then it is a real number. So we be like n is equal to integer of x. If x is 3, n would be 3. If x is 3, n will be 3. But if x is 3.2, then n will still be 3. And then we will check if afterwards, if n is equal to x. If n is equal to x, it means the number that was entered was an integer. And if it is not equal to x, then it means that the number that was entered was real. So we will use this check as a trick to understand if the number that is entered was an integer or not. Let's check this question out. Input 1000 numbers, okay, for count is equal to 1 to 1000. Output how many? Count with decision. Of these numbers were whole numbers, means integers. You may use integer x in your answer as y. For example, if y is equal to integer 3.8, gives the value y is equal to 3. So input a number. X is equal to integer of number, whatever the number that is entered. Now, if x is equal to original number, then a is equal to a plus 1. Next. So every time a number is entered, that number is being integered using integer function, and then the result of that integer function is kept in x, and then we check if the x and the original number is equal. If the original number that was entered was a whole number, obviously x and whole number of number will be the same. If the number that was entered was a real number, then x and the number that was entered will not be same. So if they are same, only then a will be counted. And then what we have to do is to output a. That is very simple. So count will be initialized. Count is equal to 0. Number is equal to 0. X is equal to 0. And a is equal to 0. So that is your answer. So remember, first function that we have done was integer. What integer does? Integer basically converts a real number to whole number by dropping the decimal part. All right. Integer function converts a real number to a whole number by dropping the decimal part. Now, this question says the weather condition in a town are being monitored over a year. Which is 365 days. The values recorded per day are weather type and the temperature. means weather type is cloudy or sunny or rainy or foggy, so it is text, and integer, which is the temperature. Write an algorithm using pseudocode or flowchart only, which input the weather type and temperature. So let's start. For count is equal to 1, 2, 3, 65. Input, weather type, and temperature. Output the number of days that were cloudy, raining, sunny, or foggy. So we have to have 4 counts. If weather type is equal to cloudy, remember to write the way it is mentioned in question. Then C is equal to C plus 1. If weather type is equal to sunny, then S is equal to S plus 1. If weather type is equal to foggy, remember, since the value with which you are comparing, that value is a string, so you have to put it in double quotation. Then F is equal to F plus 1. If weather type is equal to raining, then R is equal to R plus 1. So we have counted out of the input value. So it is done. Now output the highest recorded temperature for the year and output the lowest. So they have now asked for what? They have now asked for the highest and lowest values. And that is not for the weather type, but for the temperature. So if temperature is greater than highest, then highest is equal to temperature. If temperature is less than lowest, then lowest is equal to temperature. So it is done. Now next, and then we will output. We don't have to find any average, we don't have to find any percentage, so we will go down to output cloudy, sunny, foggy, and raining. So this is how many times it was cloudy, how many times it was sunny, how many times it was foggy, how many times it is raining. And then highest and lowest temperatures. So this is all completed. Now count is equal to 0, weather type is equal to null, temperature is equal to 0, cloudy is equal to 0, raining is equal to 0, sunny is equal to 0, foggy is equal to 0, highest is equal to minus 1000 and lowest is equal to plus 1000, and that's about it. The question is completed. So we solved this question already, average wala. This is format 4, so we are not going to discuss this. Now, this question is October, November 2012, P12. Write an algorithm using pseudocode or a program flow chart. Write an algorithm using pseudocode or a program flow chart only that input 50 numbers. Each as a separate digit. Each as 4 separate digits. So digit 1, digit 2, digit 3 and digit 4. Output the percentage of the number. Those are palindromes. Now what are palindromes? Let's first discuss about. There's a word civic. If you read it forward, it is CIVIC civic. And if you read it backward, it is CIVIC civic. This is a palindrome. So if it is 31331, if you read it forward and backward, it is same 1331. So such type of words or numbers which you read forward or backward and they sound same, it is said to be a palindrome. So means you have to check let's do it for 4 digits then. A, B, B, A. So we have to check if the first and the fourth character is same, and then we have to check if the second and the third character is same, and same can be for digits. If the first and last digit, 4 digit is same, and if 2 and 3 digit are same, then it is said to be palindrome. So we will be like, if D1 is equal to D4 and like in logic gate, D2 is equal to D3, then, so now this condition is having an end. It has to have these both elements, D1 is equal to D4 and D2 is equal to D3, true. Then palindrome is equal to palindrome plus 1. As I said, I am going to use a single character variable for the counter. So I have used P over here. So output the percentage of numbers, those were palindromes. Now next. So percentage of palindrome is equal to P divided by 50 multiplied by 100, and we will output it. Output percentage of palindrome. So count will be initialized. D1, D2, D3, D4 will be initialized. D1 is equal to 0. D2 is equal to 0. D3 is equal to 0. D4 is equal to 0. And then P is equal to 0. And percentage of P is equal to 0 as well. So this question is completed. This was again a counting with decision and percentage question. Now, for this particular question, you can see it says output the number of barcodes, means it's a counting which were entered correctly with decision. All right, so this question belongs to format 1 and with particular counting thing. Now, it says something about another function that is called mode. Let's say I'm dividing 17 by 3. So 3 5s are 15. So we are left with 2. So this remainder and this quotient can be asked for by the computer using two functions. This function is called div and this function is called mode. So in this way, there are three types of divisions. This is 17 divided by 3, that would be 5.6666. 17 mod 3, that is basically 2. 17 div 3, that is basically 5. So mod tells about remainder, div tells about integer quotient. So that is how it works. There are three types of division. So whenever in computer science there is a question that belongs to division, we will have to specifically see that what out of three divisions it is. Is it quotient finding div division? Is it remainder finding mod division? Or it is absolute division, which is divide, with the answer would always be a decimal number. Now, it says a small shop uses barcodes which represents 5 digits. The last digit is used as the check digit. For example, A is 0, B is 1, C is 2, D is 3, and E is 4. Multiply the first digit and the third digit by 3. So first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is the last digit. So this is the last digit, which they say that it is a check digit. It says multiply the first and third digit by 3. So this is A and C are multiplied by 3 and this is 6 and this is 0. Multiply the second and fourth digit by 2. 2, 6. Adding these four totals together, dividing this total by 10, remainder is check digit. So this is remainder. Now you can check that it is 4 and it is 4 as well. So it means the number that was entered is correct if you do remember check digit. So let's see how the program will be written. Write an algorithm using pseudocode or flowchart which input 100 5-digit barcode in the form of A, B, C, D, E. So for count is equal to 1 to 100, input A, B, C, D, and E. सर जिसको इनिशियलाइज में नल रखना है वो समझ नहीं आया बेटा नल होता है नाम मतलब एनीथिंग व्हिच इज नॉट नंबर विल बी इनिशियलाइज्ड टू नल नाम है क्लास है एड्रेस है ये सब नल होंगे ठीक है वेदर टाइप था क्लाउडी सनी फॉगी टाइप है ना नंबर थोड़ी है इसको आप नल करेंगे जेंडर है मेल फीमेल कोई नंबर थोड़ी है इसको आप नल करेंगे for count is equal to 1 to 100 so we input what A B C D E the check digit is found how A will be multiplied by 2 sorry about first and third by 3 A will be multiplied by 3, C will be multiplied by 3, B will be multiplied by 2, and D will be multiplied by 2. They all will be added. A will be multiplied by 3, first and third digit by 3, second and fourth by 2. This is what they say here. Adding the four totals, we get that total in X. Divide that X by 10. So N is equal to X mod 10. Why mod? Because they have said that you need to check the remainder after the division. Now we will have a check if N is equal to E. E is the check digit and N is our check digit calculated. Then recalculate the check digit for each number and check whether the check digit is correct. Output the number of barcodes which were entered correctly. Then let's say M is equal to M plus 1. So every time a number is added in A, B, C, D, and E, A and C will be multiplied by 3, B and D will be multiplied by 2. These four results are added together and then they are divided by 10. Remainder is taken used by making a use of mod function and it is placed in N. Then N is checked with E, which is the check digit in the entered number. If they both match, it means the number that is entered is correct. We will count it. And afterwards, once all 100 numbers are entered and found, only we will output how many times the barcode that was entered was correct. So this is a question of 5 marks. Then we will initialize count is equal to 0, A is equal to 0, B is equal to 0, C is equal to 0, D is equal to 0, E is equal to 0, N is equal to 0, X is equal to 0, and M is equal to 0. So that's about it. This is a question which is done. It might look like a bigger question, but the solution is almost of the same size. So you get 5 marks for that. Now, so in order to solve this question, we will again make use of integer. N is equal to E. E is basically A, B, C, D, E check digit. So we calculated our own check digit using A, B, C, D, and then our calculated check digit and the check digit that is entered with the number, they both are checked. So this is called check digit. So for that, you have to visit and see a topic in P1, check digit. Achha, for this particular question, we are going to use integer function again, but for that we will have to first solve a question which is related to this question here, this one. May, June 2007, question 19. A company has 5,000 CDs, DVDs, videos and books in stock. So it is one stock and they have got CDs, DVDs, books and videos in it. So the total of CDs, DVDs, books and videos is 5,000. Each item has 5 unique digit code. Code is like something that we have an ID. So every item in that particular stock is either a CD or a DVD or a video or a book, and they all have unique codes, which are 5-digit codes. In that code, the first digit identifies that which type of item it is. If it is CD, the code will start with 1. If it is a video, then the code will start with 3. So what we would have to do, we have to make an input and then we would have to eliminate this first digit to see if it is CD, DVD or what. So we are going to use integer function for extraction. What is extraction? Let's say we have a number 39256. We want to extract first 2 digit. So that will be 39. If we have a number 36259 and we want to extract 1 digit, then it is 3. This is extraction. And extraction is always made from the left. Don't ask me, sir, right se kaise hoga? You don't need it. So how do we actually extract? Let's say we enter a number and that number is 29625. How many digits are these? 5. Which number, how many digits we want to extract from this number? Let's say 2. So until here we want to extract. What we will do, we will put 1 underneath the last digit of extraction and 0 for the rest. This will give us 29.625 and we will apply integer over it. And that will give us 29. So we extracted it. Similarly, if I want to extract, there is, let's say, a cell phone number 333-123-4908. I want to check that which carrier it is. So how many numbers I will have to extract? 3 digits. So up to 3 digits. So the last digit of extraction is this 3. And I'll put 0 under rest of it. This will make it 333.1234908. And then I will apply what? Integer on it. And this will give me what? 3, 3 and 3. So So this is extracted. That is how we are going to use it. So let's solve this question. A company has 5,000 CDs, DVDs, videos, and books in stock. So this is for count is equal to 1 to 5,000. Each item has a unique 5-digit code with the first digit identifying the type of item. That is, if it is starting, the number starting with 1, it is CD. If it is starting with 2, it is DVD. Then if it is starting with 3, it is video. And then if it is starting with 4, then it is a book. For example, for the code 15642, the 1 here identifies that it is a CD, and for the code 30055, 3 identifies that it is a video. Write an algorithm using pseudocode otherwise that input codes for all 5,000 items. So input code. Validate the input. We have not discussed validation yet, so just leave it now. Calculate how many. So this how many says that it is counting with decision. So first we have to extract it. So code divided by if it is 30055, then we have to extract how many 1 digit. So this will be 10,000. So this code will be divided by 10,000. And then integer will apply to it, and we will catch the result in x. So if x is equal to 1, if x is equal to 1, then CD is equal to CD plus 1. If x is equal to 2, then DVD is equal to DVD plus 1. If x is equal to 3, then video is equal to video plus 1. If x is equal to 4, then book is equal to book plus 1. So this is counting with decision. And then we have to output the 4 totals. So once it is done for all 5,000 items, we will output CD, DVD, video, and book. Count, code, CD, DVD, video, book, they will be initialized. So count is equal to 0, code is equal to 0, CD is equal to 0, DVD is equal to 0, book is equal to 0, video is equal to 0. And lastly, x is equal to 0. So that's your answer for 5 marks. Now let's get down to that question that we left. So this question says a country has 4 mobile phone networks operators. A country has 4 mobile phone network operators. Each mobile phone number has 8 digits. Now this time no 5 digits, rather 8 digits. The first three digits identify the network operator. So it means that we have to extract first three digits from 8-digit number, cell phone number. Write an algorithm using pseudocode flowchart which reads 50,008. So we are like for count is equal to 1 to 50,000. And then we will input telephone number. And then we will like x is equal to telephone number divided by what? See, 8 digits like 333. So we have to extract 3 digits. So these are 8 digits in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have to extract 3 digits. So to the last digit, we will put 1 and then we will put zeros. How many zeros? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will give us 333.43279 and then we will apply integer to it. And then that will give us 333. So x will be telephone number divided by 100,000. And then this 100,000 division will be assigned to what? Integer. Integer of telephone number divided by 100,000. Now, if it is 444, then it is Yoda phone. So if x is equal to 444, then Yoda is equal to Yoda plus 1. If x is equal to 555, then n2 is equal to n2 plus 1. If x is equal to 666, then coffee mobile. Coffee is equal to coffee plus 1. If x is equal to 777, then Satsoma. Set is equal to set plus 1. Write an algorithm using pseudocode otherwise which only which reads 50,000 8 digits phone calls made during the day and output the number of calls made on each of the 4 networks. It means that is next. And then we output what? Yoda, N2, coffee, and Satsuma. And then count is equal to 0. Telephone number is equal to 0. Yoda is equal to 0. N2 is equal to 0. Coffee is equal to 0. Satsoma SAT is equal to 0. And that's about it. And then X is equal to 0. This is our questions answer. Now, this is another question from October, November 2013, P13. It is question 15, which says that 5,000 numbers are being input, which should have either 1 digit, 2 digit, 3 digit, or 4 digits. Write an algorithm using pseudocode or flowchart only, which input 5,000 numbers output how many numbers had 1 digit, 2 digit, 3 digit or 4 digits. Output the percentages of number input which are outside the range. So this particular function, question requires another function which is log. Log 10 basically. So what log does? For us, log function, we are not looking into it like mathematics students do. We are looking into it like programmers do. So what log function does? Log of 1000 is equal to 3. What actually it is telling that how many times the 10 is being multiplied by itself to get this thing. So this is 1 time, 2 time, 3 time. That's your log. If it is 10,000, so it is 4 because it is 10 into 10, 100 into 10, 1000 into 10. So this is what log function does. But if you see, if it is 4 digits in 1000, it is telling us 3. If it is 5 digit in 10,000, it is telling us 4. So what we do, log of 1000 plus 1, so that is 4. And now it is exactly telling us how many digits are there. And if I make it like log of 10,000 plus 1, so this will be 5. So now log function is being used as the counter of digits in an input number. So if it is 1, 2, 3, how many digits are there? 3. But the thing is, when this log function is used for a number which is exactly divisible by 10, it produces an answer which is exactly an integer or whole number. But if it is not, then it generates a number that is in decimal. So let's say we have n. The value of n is 456. And x is equal to log of 456. It will be actually 2.659. So what we will do, we will put it in integer. Integer of log of 456 plus 1. This will exactly give you 3. What will happen when you apply integer to it? Only 2 will come out. And then you will add 1 to it and it will give you 3. So that is how we count number of digits in a number. So if it is exactly divisible by 10, we have a whole number that how many times the 10 is being used to find this number when it is being multiplied to itself. And if it is not exactly divisible by 10, then in that case the output of the log would be a real number. So we will apply integer to it to shed off, to truncate, to drop decimal part, and then we add 1 to basically the answer to get the number of digits in the input. So now let's read this question. Question number 15. 5,000 numbers are being input, which should have either 1 digit, 2 digit, 3 digit, or 4 digits. Write an algorithm using pseudocode flowchart which input 5,000 numbers. So for count is equal to 1 to 5,000. Output how many numbers were 1 digit, 2 digit, 3 digit, and 4 digits. So what we will do, x is equal to, no, first we have to input, sorry. Input a number, then x is equal to integer of log of number plus 1. So this formula, when applied over the input, gives you the number of digits in a number. That's it, Hamis, nothing else. If you take input in n, then x is equal to integer of log of n plus 1. That's it. Whenever they ask for the number of digits in a number, we will use log. Now x would have the number of digits in it. Now we have to count how many were 1 digit, 2 digit, 3 digit, or 4 digits. So if x is equal to 1, then a is equal to a plus 1. If x is equal to 2, then b is equal to b plus 1. If x is equal to 3, then c is equal to c plus 1. If x is equal to 4, then d is equal to d plus 1. So if there is 1 digit, x will be 1. Sorry, a will be 1. If there are 2 digits, then b will be 1. If there are 3 digits. So at the end of the day, the total of a plus b plus c plus d would be 5,000. And then it says, output the percentage of inputs which were outside the range. So if x is greater than 4, then e is equal to e plus 1. Now, this question has a trick. It says that if these are 1, 2, 3, 4 digits number, then what we have to do, we have to tell the output. If it is above 4, then we have to find the percentage. So percentage of E is equal to E divided by 5,000 multiplied by 100. And now we will output A, B, C, D, and not E, but percentage of E. That is how this question will be solved. So the use of log to find the number of digits in a number. So it says that enter 5,000 numbers and to find out that how many of those 5,000 were 1 digit number, those were 2 digit number, 3 digit number, 4 digit number. And then we have also to find how many times it was a number entered which was above 4 digits. Then they say output A, B, C, D, but the percentage of E. So we calculated percentage of E, and I told you that percentage only works with count with decision. Let's move on. This is the last question that we are doing today, and then we will move on to another file. May, June 2014, P12. A school has 1,500 students. It is conducting a survey on their music preferences. Each student uses a computer and inputs their name and then chooses one of the 5 options. A student enters 1 if a student likes rock music, 2 if it is soul music, 3 if it is pop music, 4 if it is jazz music, and then 5 if it is classical music. Write an algorithm using pseudocode flowchart which input the choice for all 1500 students, value 1 to 5. So for count is equal to 1 to 1500. Input choice. If choice is equal to 1, then rock is equal to rock plus 1. If choice is equal to 2, then soul is equal to soul plus 1. If choice is equal to 3, then pop is equal to pop plus 1. If choice is equal to 4, then it says that output the names of a student who choose classical music, which is 4. Output the percentage who choose each option. We have to output the name of those students who have chosen 4. So it means that we are not inputting choice only, but the name as well. But we will only output the name of those students who have chosen 4, which is classical. No, 5 actually, sorry. Then jazz is equal to jazz plus 1, and if it is 5, which is classical, sorry, then first we have to be like C is equal to C plus 1, as in classical is equal to classical plus 1, and then we will output the name of the student as well. And then since this if has got more than one statements in it, we will have to end if for, we will have to use end if for this if as well. This has one statement, one statement, one statement, one statement, that is R is equal to R plus 1, S is equal to S plus 1. So that can be written in front of then. But if there are more than one statements, then we cannot put those statements in the same line. So we will be putting an end if. Umama, yesterday I think I have explained that there are more than one ways writing if. It's up to you which way you are choosing. You are choosing this way or that way or that case and case way. It's up to you. All right. All right. आप किसी भी सवाल पे बेटा कोई सी भी फॉर्म ऑफ इफ पूछ सकते हैं, डजंट मैटर. आई मीन लिख सकते हैं, इससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. Okay. Now next. आप कहते हैं output the percentage of who choose each option. So if it is percentage of rock, then is equal to rock divided by 1500 multiplied by 100. तो हम इस 20 से 20 कैंसिल भी तो कर सकते हैं. So percentage of soul is equal to R divided by 15. Percentage of pop is equal to P divided by soul would be, sorry, pop divided by 15. Percentage of jazz is equal to jazz divided by 15, and percentage of classical is equal to classical divided by 15. And then we will output percentage of rock, percentage of soul, percentage of pop, percentage of jazz, percentage of classical. So that's about it. How many variables do we have? 1, 2, 3. So count will be initialized as 0 because it is an integer. Choice will also be initialized at 0 because it is an integer, but name will be initialized at null because it is text. Then R is equal to 0, S is equal to 0, P is equal to 0, jazz is equal to 0, classical is equal to 0, and then we have to percentage of rock is equal to 0, percentage of jazz is equal to 0, percentage of soul is equal to 0, percentage of pop is equal to 0, percentage of classical is equal to 0. So that is how you will initialize. It was a lengthy question, and that is how you have to deal with it. There is no other way. Okay, let's see if we have got, this is up to 2014 questions in this file. In next file, I have sent these two files today to all of you in the WhatsApp group. And in next file, let's see if there are any questions which belong to counting and all. Now this is a good question. If, then, else, and if, and case of otherwise, and case are two different conditional statements that you can use when writing pseudocodes. So you see, yesterday we solved a question. It says that if, then, else, and if is basically a conditional statement with different outcomes for true and false. So we are expecting different outcomes for true and false. But if it is case of otherwise and end case, in that case it is a conditional statement to deal with many possible outcomes of the same type. So if x is equal to 1, do this. If x is equal to 2, then do this. If x is equal to 3, then do this. Then if x is equal to 4, then do this. That is same sort of output. X, 1, do this, 2, do this, 3, do this. So there is just one variable to evaluate. But if it is if, then, else, we can evaluate multiple variables. If x is equal to 1 and b is equal to 2, then do this. Else if c is equal to 1, then do this. Else if d is equal to 1, then do this. So if we have only one variable to check, then we can use case and case. But if it is different possible outcome that we are expecting from different variables, in that case, no, we will use if, then, else. Get the idea? So this was a question that was asked over here. So I wanted to discuss that question again, as yesterday we already discussed it. Now, let's see if there are other questions which require us to count or something. Write and go to input a positive integer, use this value to set up how many times you want to input. Yes. Now this is one tricky question. Write an algorithm using pseudocode or flowchart to input a positive number. See, first of all, they have asked input a positive number. Let's call it positive number, Pn. Use this value to set up how many other numbers will be input. Means for count is equal to 1 to this positive number. So if you have entered positive number 5, this will become 1 to 5. If you have entered 50, then it will become 1 to 50. And if you have entered, let's say 400, then it will become a loop for 400 times. So they have not given us the number, but they have asked us to input a positive integer and loop through for that number of times. Input these numbers. So input number. Calculate an output total and average. So total is equal to total plus number, and then next. Once you get out of this count, then you will find the average is equal to total divided by, this is your n now, number, and then we output average. So this time, instead that they have given us a number, rather they asked us to input that number as well. Once that number is input, we input that number, and when we enter that number, system will loop for those number of times, and then those number of times numbers will be entered, total will be done, and once you get out of this loop, then output of the average will happen. So table is what? A collection of related data. Variable is a value that can change while the program is running. A value that never changes while the program is running is constant value. So if it is a is equal to 5, it will remain 5 no matter you run this program 100 times. So this is a constant. But if if it is input x and a is equal to x, so this, whatever the x that you will enter, a will become that. So that is a variable. In this case, a is a constant, and in this case, a is a variable. And then a series of elements of the same data type. We have not discussed it yet. When we will discuss, this will be an array. So in an array, it is a variable, but it does not have one value, rather it has got so many values. So if a is an array, it will have 8, 9, 10, and 11. So this is a1, this is a2, this is a3, this is a4. a1 is equal to 8, a3 is equal to 10. That is how it works. We will discuss about it later. So a is also in array, it is also a variable, but doesn't keep just one value, rather it keeps several values. So if a variable is carrying several values, it is not said that it is a variable, rather it is said that it is an array, and then each of that value can be accessed using the index of that value. So 8 is at 1 index, 11 is at 4 index, 9 is at 2 index. That is how it works. We will discuss about it later. This is basically right after we complete format 1, because format 1 belongs to array. So if then else and if is one type of conditional statement. Another type of conditional statement is only case and end case. When do we use it? When we expect several outcomes from the same variables. When do we use if then else? When we expect different outcomes from different variables. Now, this is an interesting question. It says write an algorithm to input 1000 numbers. So for count is equal to 1 to 1000. Count how many numbers are positive and how many numbers are zero. Input a number. If number is greater than 0, then it is a positive number, so positive is equal to positive plus 1. If number is equal to 0, then 0 is equal to 0 plus 1. Next, output P comma Z. Count how many numbers are positive and how many numbers are 0. Then output result, we output, use either pseudocode or flowchart. Fine, you get 6 marks for it, but you would have to initialize. So count is equal to 0, num is equal to 0, P is equal to 0, and Z is equal to 0. That is how it works. Explain the difference between the programming concept of counting and totaling. So whenever we add 1 to an existing variable, it is counting. Whenever we add any unknown value to an existing variable, it is said to be totaling. We discussed about it yesterday. Include an example of programming a statement for each concept in your explanation. So you will have to tell. Now, it says write an algorithm using pseudocode to input 3 different numbers. Multiply the 2 larger numbers together and output the result. Using the variable number 1, number 2, number 3 for your number and answer. Now this has nothing to do with the for next loop. So this is a question that we will discuss later. Otherwise we will be discussing something which is outside the scope of current scenario. So we are going to skip it. So here you have to tell that how selection and repetition could be used in this program. So you have to describe them. Describe given an example for each of the following data types used in programming. What is an integer? A number. What is a string? Anything. My name. My city name. Anything that is a combination of characters and we put them in double quotation. That is what they are asking. Integer description is a collection of characters. Example is this. All right. Description, a number saved in binary form without any decimals. It is a whole number. These are examples. So see, a condition control loop, conditional loops, we have not yet discussed. A conditional statement is this: if a condition, then this is this conditional statement, but conditional loop is with while or repeat. We will discuss about it. So what is totaling? Totaling is t is equal to t plus 1, sorry, t plus m. So whatever an unknown value, when you add that value to the previous value of a variable, that is called totaling. So you have to describe character data type, string data type, and boolean data type. To describe it, I did discuss it yesterday. Again, totaling and counting, you have to describe it. Constant variable arrays, we have to discuss array now. Not now, means later, as soon as this format 1 is completed. Three types of loop structures, that is while, and while, for next, and repeat until. Okay, so for next we are doing these days, and once for next is finished, then we will get into while and end while and all. So that's about it. One of the students did ask about the YouTube videos, and I said that all these videos which we are actually, all these lectures which we are discussing these days are basically going over YouTube as live stream, and later they are available for you to view them again. Let's see if they are there. See, over the channel, there is Zafar Ali Khan. This is the video which is live now, and later these videos are available under this CS show Computer Science YouTube podcast. So ये appear हो जाएगा बेटे अब आपके जैसे ये live feed खत्म होगी. So do not worry about it. They are always being aired and kept for you to be seen later. All right. Anyways, thank you very much. I see you tomorrow with more questions. I want to finish these questions before we go any further. And I told you yesterday that most of the questions, 95% of the times questions appearing are related to Fornex. So you have to pay attention to Fornex and to all of those variations जो Fornex में आती हैं, हमें ये questions जो हैं ये solve करने, and then we will move on. जैसे ही Fornex खत्म होगा ना, तो maximum amount of pseudocodes खत्म हो जाएगा automatically. फिर छोटा मोटा रह जाएगा. We will discuss about it. So I see you tomorrow. Thank you.